The palace of the Ijaw king had grown heavy with silence. 10 long years had passed since Tamuno, once a poor fisherman, became the king's assistant and married the princess. The silence of a palace without the cry of a child was louder than drums. It ate at the people's joy, gnawed at their faith, and weighed on their king like a stone on his chest. Every year, the women of the land gave birth to children. The market was full of mothers carrying babies on their backs, children chasing one another through the sand, laughter echoing through the village like music, but the palace remained cold. The princess wept alone at night. Her coral beads no longer shone with pride, but clung to her neck like chains. Her eyes were swollen from endless tears. Her voice cracked from prayers unanswered. The king grew bitter. His voice thundered in council, his eyes dark with suspicion. He had given his daughter to Tamuno because he believed the gods favored him, that his sudden wealth was proof of blessings. But now he wondered if he had been tricked. And Tamuno carried a heavier burden than anyone knew. His soul was restless. Every time he looked into his wife's tearful eyes, he remembered the mermaid. He remembered her laughter, her pearls, her voice on the water, and most of all, he remembered her bitter curse. "You broke my heart, Tamuno. Do you know what it means to break the heart of a spirit?" At last, when the whispers of the people became too loud, the king summoned Tamuno and the princess. "We must seek answers," the king said, his voice deep with sorrow. "We cannot remain in darkness any longer. We must go to the native doctor." The villagers followed as the royal canoe carried them deep into the mangroves. The waters grew darker, quieter. Birds fell silent as though they too respected the place they were approaching. The native doctor's shrine sat on an island covered in thick forest. Carvings of spirits and animals stood around the compound, their eyes painted white, staring. The air was heavy with the smell of burning herbs. The native doctor emerged slowly, a tall, thin man with chalk markings all over his skin. Cowries rattled around his neck, and his eyes seemed to pierce through the very soul. "Why have you come?" he asked in a low, deep voice. The king stepped forward. "My daughter's womb has been shut for 10 years. We have prayed, we have offered sacrifices, but no child has come. Tell us why." The native doctor closed his eyes and sprinkled white powder onto the earth. He threw cowries, whispering words older than the village itself. The people watched in silence, their hearts trembling. At last, he opened his eyes and turned to Tamuno. "You," his voice was like a whip, "you." Tamuno's knees weakened. "Me?" The native doctor pointed at him with a bony finger. "Yes, you were once a poor fisherman. The river blessed you, but you broke the heart of the one who blessed you. You betrayed her love, and she cursed you. Until you appease her, the womb of your wife will remain shut." Gasps filled the air. The villagers murmured among themselves. The king's eyes burned with fury. "What have you done, Tamuno?" Tamuno fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face. I did not mean to. She was a mermaid. She loved me. She gave me pearls. But when you gave me your daughter, I could not refuse. I never wanted to hurt her." The princess let out a cry, covering her face with her hands. The native doctor's voice thundered. "The spirits do not care for excuses. What is broken must be mended. If you wish for your wife to conceive, you must find the mermaid, kneel before her, and beg for forgiveness. Only she can open the womb she has shut." And so Tamuno began his search. He returned to the riverbank where they had first met. Night after night, he called her name, his voice breaking with regret. "Opuwadi, my love, forgive me." But the river remained silent. Weeks passed. He offered sacrifices, yam, palm oil, even the finest goats. He poured libations and sang songs, but the water only rippled and closed again. The villagers whispered that the mermaid had gone forever, that her heart was too broken to hear him. But Tamuno did not give up. For 10 years, guilt had eaten at him like termites in wood. He would not rest until she answered. One moonlit night, when his voice was hoarse from calling, the water finally stirred. A shape rose from the depths. Beads glimmered. Scales flashed silver. There she was, the mermaid. Her eyes were no longer soft and playful. They were sharp, filled with years of pain. "You dare call me now after all this time?" she asked, her voice trembling with both anger and sorrow. Tamuno fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face. Forgive me. I was weak. I betrayed you, but my heart never forgot you. Please, release my wife's womb. The people suffer because of me." The mermaid stared at him for a long time. The river seemed to hold its breath. At last, she whispered, "I cannot forget what you did, but for the sake of the innocent princess, I will show mercy." She raised her hands, and the water glowed faintly around her. "Her womb is opened, but do not think this erases your betrayal. I forgive you enough for life to grow, but I do not forgive you enough to heal." And with that, she vanished once more. Months passed, and the palace, once so silent, began to stir with hope. The princess's belly swelled, songs filled the marketplace, women danced with joy, ululating into the sky. Men beat drums until their hands bled. "The crust is broken," they cried. "The river has shown mercy." The king walked tall again, his voice full of pride. The princess glowed with happiness, her laughter filling the halls once more. And Tamuno wept with relief. 9 months later, the day came. The entire village gathered outside the palace. Drums beat steadily, songs rose into the night sky. They waited for the sound they had longed to hear for 10 years, the cry of a baby. And at last it came. A child's cry pierced the air, high and clear, carrying over the river, through the mangroves, across the entire village. The people fell to their knees, praising the spirits. The princess has given birth. The palace has life again. But when the midwives brought the baby forward, whispers began to spread. The child was beautiful, radiant skin, eyes that glowed like the river at dawn. But her tiny body shimmered strangely. And when she kicked her little legs, there were faint traces of scales. A hush fell over the room. The king's face froze. The princess gasped. Tamuno's heart stopped beating. The midwife whispered, trembling, "It is a girl, but she is not like other children." The villagers peered into the palace windows, desperate to see. Whispers turned to questions. Questions turned to murmurs. Murmurs turned to fear. Is she truly a child of man? Or has the river claimed its place in the palace? Tamuno's hand shook as he reached for the baby. When her eyes met his, he knew something familiar, something that pierced him like a spear. They were the eyes of the mermaid. And in that moment, Tamuno knew the story was not over. The river had not just forgiven, the river had left its mark.
Please subscribe to my channel and leave a like. It really helps me bring you more stories like this. Also, drop a comment below. Do you think Tamuno deserved the punishment he got from the mermaid? Or did she go too far? Let's talk about it in the comments. And don't miss the next episode, the grand finale. The story of the Mermaid Princess is coming, and trust me, what happens next will shock the entire village. What do you think will happen when the princess born of both land and water discovers her true destiny? Drop your guesses below and stay tuned.